In my continuing conversations with olders, those that are solo aging, grand aging, partner aging, there's an interesting welling up of top of mind issues and questions that are linked, what I would best describe as between persons, together with each other, and then beyond. And I wanted to share some insights with you today about three of those top of mind questions issues. Now, these are three of many. I just thought that these three came together, sort of, you could weave them together in a really beautiful pattern and recognize them. They are gifting forward, giving back, celebrating accomplishments and achievements, and I would get appreciation in there, or appreciating. And the third one is around social impact through something like mentoring. So let me unpack them and some thoughts that I have from my own experience. And then there's a couple of persons that I want to highlight today because they brought forward some really interesting perspectives, points of view. So let's go with the first one, this notion of gifting forward and giving back. Now, I make a distinction between gifting and giving. Gifting for me comes from the heart, a wholehearted approach, and giving comes from the head. Now, I'm not drawing a line in the sand and saying this is how it must be or anything like that. It's just a way for me to appreciate that in my gifting, I'm thinking about very much a wholehearted approach of what I want to gift to someone. And that's why legacy is so important, because legacy is the useful what's that you gift others so that they can learn something from your experiences. And this gifting forward is I am thinking through my heart's eye, seeing, sensing what might be a future interaction with someone and gifting into that moving forward with something. And often the gifting is something I know that I would appreciate as well. And that's why it's a wholehearted. Often when we think about giving back or giving something, we tend to think about it as a thought pattern. Oh yes, I have to get a present for someone, and you get it, and it may not have that wholehearted link to it. And so, this notion of gifting forward and giving back is an interesting way to look at the interactions between persons. And if you think about it yourself, where have you gifted something? Where have you given something? And what was your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions that you had surrounding those actions? And then when I was chatting with Walter the other day, he called Walt. Sometimes he's called Water because he's quite involved in the biodiversity issues. He's an older gentleman. He is semi retired. He retired from his conservation work and now has sort of picked it up and doing legacy projects. And I was having a great conversation with him about what's unfolding for him having made these decisions. And he said, well, I'm really interested in sharing, gifting what I know and can do, especially with younger biologists and conservationists. And I said, well, that's really great. How are you doing that? He says, well, I'm sharing stories of things that I have learned along the way. You know, those interesting times where, whoops, I made a couple of mistakes and tipped that canoe and over I went and I had forgotten to put my life jacket on. He brought that one to the surface and went, oh, that's an interesting story and a good reminder for persons. And he just kept sharing is that I want to share, I want to share, I want to share. And I said, is that about storytelling or story sharing? And he said, I hadn't thought about it that, but he said, I actually lean into story sharing because I think caring, sharing was his connection. And I remember that, and I've used that a number of times in other places now. So I thank Walter for that connection. So this gifting and giving is something to think about, and think about it as a between persons, and what happens when you gift or give together. These are things to sort of put in play for yourself. Now, another top of mind question was around celebration and appreciation. And I've come to think about myself often as a celebrant. Now, celebrants are usually associated with things like marriages and death, and they're bringing this celebratory rituals to a gathering together. And I thought, well, if I extended that, how could I think about being a celebrant with olders who are looking at, okay, what is it that I have done over the years? What have I achieved? What have I accomplished? And so I bring to the surface with them, okay, let's take a look at achievements for you and accomplishments with others. You're on a unique journey, so you have achievements, but you're also adventuring together, and therefore you would have accomplishments. And I ask them to just sort of sort them out, figure out what they are, list them down, and then find out how they might come together. And the persons that I've done that with over the last couple of months have gone, this is an interesting take on how it happens. And what is it that I'm learning from it? What is it that I could bring forth in some kind of legacy project, my story, a contribution? Yeah, it's great. And what took place was I started to go, would it be celebrating accomplishments and appreciating achievements? I still haven't settled on that, but I bring it forth so that maybe it's just something you can look at, because words matter, and the combinations of words share a story. Thanks, Walter. And I wanted to just have that on the surface here for you so you could think about that. And then there's this whole idea of, if we're between together, what is it as together, that social impact, that beyond idea? And there were many who were going, well, I want to do something more than just something like write a memoir. And I went, okay, well, what were you thinking? And I just happened to be speaking with Lone and Panay. They're a couple, and they're in their late 40s, looking at their 50s, and they were just chatting about what they wanted to do or get involved with to sort of get them ready for their next 50. They were actually introduced to me by Walter, because Walter is mentoring them. And I went, oh, that's interesting. And I had a chat with them about mentoring, and they were so appreciative of what Walter was doing. And they were thinking about, well, how can we extend what we're doing? Lone is involved in landscaping, and Panay is involved in a community center. So there was some interesting plays at work here, and we had some great conversations. And I kept saying to them, well, who might your recipients be if you were to take on something, whether individually or could you do something together? And we had some great conversations coming out, and they acknowledged that, wow, there's something here that I think we could really move into. And they were thinking about how could they involve Walter as well. So there was this expanding idea, this beyond sort of conversation that was starting to take place. And in probably about a month from now, I might get together with the three of them and have a conversation, because of my own legacy project, Awareness, which is awareness from forests and agroforestry, this blending of forests and agriculture. So we're going to sort of have a conversation about that. But what it did was it sparked that beyond conversation. And I would encourage you to think about that. And one of the ways I look at that is I have people go, Are you dealing with a lake project, a river project, or an ocean project? You can appreciate I enjoy nature. And the lake project is something that is local with a regional leaning. If you then think about river as you're connecting local, regional to, say, national. And if you're doing something that's ocean, you may be going national, international. And for myself, I do some local components around helping outdoor programming, I guess is the best description, where youth are involved in camps. But I also extend that by supporting an agroforestry project in Kenya in an international basis. And I want to strengthen that and bring that certainly to the foreground more through one of my other YouTube channels, Awareness from Forests. So I'm bringing all of this forward because these three of gifting forward and giving back and celebrating and appreciating achievements and accomplishments and the whole idea around social impact and mentoring, I'll get in there. I thought that that would be some ideas to say to you. What could you do? What could you bring forth in your own legacy projects and stories and contributions? And that's where, again, I could serve as a legacy guide. I chat about that in another video, and I'll put a link to that. But also, there's a course coming up and some workshops. And you may want to come back, look at the channel, and see what announcements are being made, but also the website. And I'll put a link to that below, where on the homepage is opening descriptions of the workshops and courses that are being made available. So I'd love to get you involved with that and sort of see if we can work together. Because if this is top of mind for you, then let's get involved and see what we can do and really grow a legacy community, or what I call legacy agora. And I'm going to see how best I can create that as well. Now, down below, comment about these three ideas. Do they apply to you? Is there anything that you would want to offer? Because I enjoy learning as well, and comments are a great way to share. And then maybe there's an opportunity for us to have a conversation. And I will be starting a series of, I'm not going to call it necessarily vlogcasts or vodcasts, as some people talk about them, or podcasts. I might just do some random videos of conversations with persons like you who want to bring forth some ideas and sort of see what's unfolding in this whole legacy story and contributions component. So, with that, I think I've covered off enough about these three top of mind ideas. And sometimes people have issues, they don't know how to get them in play. And that's where the Legacy Guide comes in. So, again, subscribe and comment. Certainly appreciate it. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care. There are lots of videos available on the channel, and the ones that are recommended to you right now, give them a look.